The race to replace a scandal-plagued Senate nominee is heating up with surprising contenders. I'm Leah.
And I'm Garrett. Welcome to Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett here in Augusta, Maine. All right, let's kick things off with the big one. Headline: A brewing race. Maine Democrats scramble to replace Senate nominee amid scandal. Graham Plattner, who was the Democratic nominee for U.S. Senate, has withdrawn from the race after an allegation of sexual assault, an accusation from a former romantic partner dating back to 2021. With just about 4 months until the general election, the Maine Democratic Party says they'll convene roughly 600 delegates, party representatives who vote at a convention to pick a new nominee soon. Names are flying fast. Troy Jackson, former Maine Senate president and a one-time logger known for progressive labor and rural economic priorities, jumped in. Nirav Shah, former head of the Maine CDC and now a U.S. CDC deputy director, also announced, and he's leaning into healthcare and housing policy to speak to Plattner's progressive base. Shenna Bellows, Maine's Secretary of State and a past leader at the ACLU, also entered. You've also got Dan Claiborne, co-owner of Maine Beer Company, voicing concerns about corporate influence and rising costs, and Paige Loud, a social worker focused on worker rights and anti-imperialist policies, which basically means less U.S. involvement in foreign conflicts and corporate power abroad. Other names in the mix include Jordan Wood and David Costello. The urgency here is intense. The party needs a nominee who can immediately face Republican incumbent Senator Susan Collins, the current office holder, in November. There's even chatter that some candidates want Plattner's endorsement despite the allegation, which is, unexpected given the circumstances. The convention is targeted for around July 27th, so the clock is ticking.
Real talk. Two things can be true at once. One, an allegation that's serious deserves space and respect for the process. And two, voters need a clear, accountable path forward. I appreciate the range of backgrounds. Public health with Shah, labor with Jackson, civil liberties with Bellows, because representation shapes what gets prioritized. And the stakes are high with Susan Collins on the ballot again. Incumbents, meaning the people already holding office, have built-in name recognition, so Democrats choosing efficiently and transparently matters. Quick why for you. Why a delegate convention and not a new primary?
Timing, basically. With the general election so close, a full statewide primary just isn't feasible on the calendar, so the party's using its established delegate process to make a fast, legitimate choice under the rules they've got. Speed and clarity are the whole game right now.
All right, on to the next. Headline: Spike in reports of children left in hot cars alarms Maine officials. Local police in Bath and Topsham, that's Sagadahoc County just down the road, say they're fielding more calls about kids left in vehicles. They're warning that even a few minutes can be dangerous. Heat stroke, which is when the body overheats and can't cool itself, is the leading cause of non-crash vehicle deaths for children 14 and younger in the U.S. Here are the numbers. Since 1998, more than 1,150 children nationwide have died from vehicular heat stroke, including 3 in Maine, and there have been 10 deaths so far this year. Safety groups say more than half of these tragedies happen when a child is unintentionally forgotten in the vehicle. Officials stress constant reminders like putting a phone or a bag in the back seat, doing visual checks, and calling 911 if you see a child alone in a hot car. The takeaway is awareness, education, and quick action. On a warm day, interior car temperatures can skyrocket. Cracking the windows isn't protection. The greenhouse effect traps heat and still cooks the cabin. So let's not let this one slide by.
Yeah, that hits different when you hear the totals. I'm all about practical habits. Look before you lock, keep something you need in the back seat, set a phone alert. And if you spot a child alone in a vehicle, treat it like an emergency and call 911 immediately. Education has to be constant, especially as summer heat ramps up around Augusta and beyond. Next up, let's switch it up. Headline: Shark sighting temporarily shuts down Reed State Park Beach. On Thursday afternoon, a shark sighting at Reed State Park in Georgetown led officials to halt swimming for about an hour and a half. The town put out the alert on social media, and after the all clear, the beach reopened. The Maine Bureau of Parks and Lands has a quick checklist for being shark smart. Avoid swimming near seals or schools of fish because sharks follow food. Skip murky water where visibility is low. Swim with groups rather than alone. And watch sandbars where sharks can hunt in shallow water. Simple moves that reduce risk while you enjoy the coast.
I'm glad they hit pause. Public safety over everything. It's summer, people are excited, but awareness keeps everyone safe. Quick why for the biology nerd in me. Why do sharks come so close to shore sometimes?
Food, mostly. If seals or bait fish are close in, predators might follow. That's why the seal tip is big and why swimming in groups helps. Sharks generally aren't looking for people. Reducing the chance of a mistaken encounter is the goal.
Okay, moving right along. Headline: Maine's housing market blazes with record sales and prices in June. The median sale price statewide hit a record $436,000 in June, median meaning the middle point, not the average. We also saw 1,556 homes change hands, up 7% from last June. Inventory, the number of homes listed for sale, reached about 5,667, the most we've seen since July 2020, though still below levels from a decade ago. Western Maine is popping, especially Oxford and Franklin counties, with notable price jumps, and Cumberland County is well above the state median at about $620,000. Experts say Maine mirrors national trends. Big picture, unless supply really catches up with demand, prices will likely keep pushing upward. There's a small bright spot, though. Wage growth is outpacing home price growth year over year in some measures, which can nudge affordability a bit, but it's uneven by region.
Yeah, that's something to chew on, huh? Even with more listings, a lot of folks around Augusta are still getting priced out, especially first-time buyers. Why is it still so tough if inventory is up?
Because we're still below the number of homes needed to meet demand, and demand is steady. Add in competition from people moving here for quality of life, and prices stick high. Potential paths forward are more building where infrastructure can support it, speeding up approvals, and exploring options like accessory dwelling units, small apartments, or backyard cottages to add gentle density while keeping neighborhood feel.
Last up today. Headline: After 4 years, ferry service returns to Swan Island amid cheers. The Swan Island Ferry in Richmond is coming back after a 4-year break. It was shut down by the U.S. Coast Guard in 2022 over safety issues, including missing inspection records for the vessel. Now, with a properly licensed boat and oversight, Captain Gary Smith will run weekend trips through early September. The ride connects visitors to Swan Island, which is part of the Steve Powell Wildlife Management Area. Think wildlife viewing, hiking trails, and camping. The service is funded by the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, and it's expected to give a lift to local businesses in Richmond with more foot traffic from visitors. Safety improvements are the backbone here, and the payoff is access to one of our great mid-coast getaways.
That's a story worth telling. Quick why? Why did it take so long to come back?
Compliance and safety take time. Inspections, licensing, and making sure the operator and vessel check every box. It's the unglamorous part, but getting it right means long-term reliability.
I love the community upside. More visitors means more business at the coffee shops and diners in Richmond, and more people connecting with the outdoors. Access to public natural spaces is a public good. It boosts health, local pride, and small business all at once. Thanks for joining us on Laid Back Local, the news of the day with Leah and Garrett here in Augusta. Have a great day and see you tomorrow.
Have a good one, everybody. See you then.